This is the Real Footy Expert Tips Podcast. Thanks for joining us to tip round 15. My name's Andrew Wu, and joining me today is not Peter Ryan, but Danny Russell, our racing writer who, when racing administrators get phone calls and your number comes up, they turn the other way. How are you, Danny?
I'm great. I think it's fun to tip AFL. There's not sort of the you're probably not held to the same account. You don't get people circling your name on a Sunday and then stabbing it with a dart, in anger because they haven't backed a winner on a Saturday. So no.
Well,
glad to be here.
Defend your honour, you did tip everyone the Melbourne Cup winner last year, so you're riding on a high.
That's right, and I think I was one of the few to have tipped Adelaide to win last Friday night over the Western Bulldogs. I didn't predict the margin, so I kind of feel like Adelaide, I'm coming with a late run.
Yeah, well, we'll get to the leaderboard because I have noticed you with a long way back in the pack. Pete has, we should tell the readers or listeners why Pete's not here this week. It's because officially, I think it's because he's gone on holiday to Queensland, but I suspect he's lost the lead and he spat the dummy and he's gone off.
Yeah, that's right. I think he was advised by management to get away and recalibrate. Look, to me, Pete is in that kind of midwinter mire now, and this is where you really have to reboot and rethink about your premiership run. So, say it's an AFL team, you're in the Fremantle scenario, like you're out on top, you're in front, but you've really got to watch the next couple of weeks, Willie, because it is winter time.
This is a tough round, but this is about the time of year last year where Pete's campaign started falling apart, and I'm hoping it happens again. So I'm in the lead by myself this week. I think first time in a few weeks, on 89. Jake, Pete and Mark McGowan are on 88. Jimmy Bartell on 87. Matthew Stokes on 86. And you're in equal ninth on 84. So you're still close enough, if good enough.
Jockeying for position, like in racing parlance or even athletic parlance with the Commonwealth Games coming up, there's no need to burn yourself off out front. Pick the time.
Well, I'm interested to see what your tipping philosophy is at the moment because Pete and I, as two tipsters, have been up near the lead. We haven't had to kind of do anything out of the ordinary. Whereas if you're a little bit further back, You might need to take a few chances. And this is a sort of week where you can make up ground. There's a few games that I wouldn't be 100% confident in my tips, but it's a sort of round where I think ground can be made up, and I'd be interested to see how differently we tip.
Yeah, well, round 15, so I think there's 10 tipping rounds to go. So say if you're 10 off the lead, all you need to do is make one back every week. You don't need to go
that's
outlandishly.
Easier said than done.
Of course it is, but you don't need to go outlandishly crazy and try and pick 4 upsets around because you might get one and lose 3 and then you're
Well, you got to nail the 50-50.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's a few this week. And we'll get into it. First game, Thursday night footy, Fremantle against Geelong. The Cats, I mean, they don't travel all that well, do they? Is this going to be a game where you stick your neck out and try and pull one back?
No. I reckon Fremantle are going to lose sooner rather than later.
They won't go 22-1.
Of course, and that's just the way. But generally, these top teams, if history is any guide, or my memory serves me correctly, which I don't even know what day of the week it is, but they will drop a game to a lower side because it doesn't matter so much in the finals.
You think they'll have an off night?
Yeah, historically that seems to happen. But if you want to have a psychological advantage come finals time, you need to beat Geelong. So I can't see Geelong getting the upset. Although there's a big milestone to play here, Willie. Can you see that having any factor?
Well, the milestone, what is it? It's Chris Scott and Mark Blitzar's 307th game as coach.
And player.
Coach and player record surpassing, Chock McHale and Gordon Coventry. So
isn't that that is
it's
like
going back a long, long way.
Isn't that a stat that's stood the test of time? I find that really hard to believe that Blitzarves and Scott have had the most games as player coach together. Apparently they're wine buddies as well. You probably so it's a relationship that's aged well with time, Louis. But I find that hard to believe, don't you? Like of all the sort of great and players across the league with longevity, that they're the two.
That's a bit of an odd couple.
Yeah, well, look, they might get down.
Do you think Geelong will lift for that?
I think they'll play well. I think they'll have. I reckon they'll blunt Fremantle until half time, but then I reckon Blixarves and Scotty will start thinking about getting out to Margaret River for a couple of reds and then sort of lose the. And I can see Freo scraping home with a, after half time, pushing ahead, probably 10, 12 points.
I think there's a bit in it for Freo. I mean, they've had the bye, but they'll be invested in this game because seriously invested. The round one was opening round. Well, their first game of the year, they played the Cats. They're the only team to lose. Geelong are the only team that Fremantle have lost to this year.
Yep. What about the Alex Pearce 150th, the captain of Freo? Is 150th even a milestone? Do you get a few video clips before a game for that?
Oh, it's something of a milestone. It's not a big milestone.
Okay.
It's not worth guard of honour.
No.
The Cats they should get Brian Myers, Freo at full strength. My question on Freo at the moment is just, it's June and their football last week was exceptional. Well, 2 weeks ago against North Melbourne. I think they played the perfect game.
Yep.
And North couldn't stop them. So it's just, when you're playing that well in June, can you hold it till September? But I think that they've got a bit to play for this week. They'll be stung, having led Geelong by quite a margin in the first week of the season and then getting run over. So I think they'll want to make a bit of a statement here. I expect the Dockers to be up for this, and I think they'll win by about a couple of goals. Midfield's where they'll get them, Geelong's midfield. And the watch on Tom Stewart.
Yep. Well,
Freo's loss. No Tom Stewart on the road.
Freo's loss is coming, but I don't think it's this week.
Yeah. Freo for the both of us. Friday night footy, Gold Coast against Hawthorn, People First Stadium. Geez, Gold Coast, they're not the team we expected them to be.
Well, this is my Project Hail Mary, Willie. Great movie with Ryan Gosling in there. If I need to drop in a sort of like a pop culture reference every time I'm on this podcast, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. But that's not why I'm throwing up the Project Hail Mary scenario. I think Gold Coast, this is my one. This is one point back. And there's a couple of reasons. You've got to kind of go on weeks leading up. I reckon Hawthorn had an off game against the Bulldogs. I reckon they will have overthought that for 2 weeks because they had the bye.
Well, Sam Mitchell was spewing.
He was
very, very angry.
I reckon he will have overcorrected. They would have done so much goal kicking practice, they would have forgot to transition the ball out of the back line.
Are you hoping?
Oh, yeah. And I think, that Gold Coast, tends to get a little bit humid, hotter, off a break. Hardwick will have just driven them crazy this week about getting back on track. And I reckon they're now far enough away from the Darwin games that they will be switched on. I think this is the upset. And that Nick Holman is coming up for his 150th game. They'll do it for Nicky boy.
if he gets a game, that is. I'm tipping the Hawks. I'm quite confident on the Hawks. My read on Gold Coast, and Pete I've said it to Pete quite a few times this year, is when they, at the end of last year, when they made the changes, getting rid of Ben Ainsworth and Flanders and Connor Buderick and those honest foot soldiers, they weren't stars, but they were seasoned players who could be relied upon to do a job every week. They're not there now, and they replaced them with kids. So they're actually, and I had a look at their profile, they're a young side.
So that could be a trouble.
They're actually quite a young team.
Isn't Pete on the Gold Coast? Is Pete up at Queensland? They might get him in. They might say, look, we'll get ahead at half time, and then we're going to get Pete right in to tell us how not to blow a lead like he is at the moment. So he could inspire them. Now, Ben King's on 299 goals. I reckon he'll nail one early. Get the 300th.
You need it to happen, but I think we're looking at Gold Coast and basing them on last year. I mean, the semi-final team they played last year, average age 26 and 130 days, and an average of 117 games. This year, the team that played last week was the average age 24 years and 261 days. So it's almost about 18 months younger, and 91 games average, which is about a season less per player. So that gives you an idea as to maybe why they're not the side that we thought they were. And for that reason, I'm tipping Hawthorn.
All right. Well, I'm going to ignore all those stats, even though you make a very good point. And you're 5 in front, so your record would suggest that the listeners should be going with you. I've got a gut feeling.
Yeah. Okay. And the other thing with Gold Coast is that their midfield, Anderson, Rao, Petrarca, but who of those three play defence?
No, they need to
Who
work
defends
on that.
in
Yeah, I reckon Rao might.
Who's there? Tom Atkins or James Jordan?
I think they might slip Rao back into a more, grunt type.
They need one of them to defend and not hunt the ball. I'm tipping the Hawks, and you're going Gold Coast.
Yep.
Okay, on a Saturday afternoon footy, Adelaide against Melbourne at Adelaide Oval, so the D's are in Adelaide, but it's not gather round. Jake Lever's 200th game. Are you going to tip the D's?
No, I actually think Adelaide have got top 4 potential. Like, I think they're
look
a team.
good, don't they?
Yeah,
they're in the corner.
They're on a roll. Maybe it's just the start of it now, but I can see them finishing top 4. I think Melbourne have been really good, but I don't think they're top 4 in Adelaide.
Well, they're 4th right now, though.
Yeah, no, but I don't think eventually by the end of the year.
No.
Their record away from the MCG isn't brilliant this year.
No, 1-5. They won. They're 8-0 at the G.
I knew you could come up with that stat. I just my not flashes your 1-5, so you can put that in cold hard facts. But yeah, I can't see them beating Adelaide at Adelaide the way Dawson is leading that team at the moment.
Well, yeah, I agree with you. I think the sneaky injuries as well, Melbourne. Petty last week. They may have to, on top of Brodie Mychek the week before, so they may have to go to Matt Jefferson, who is still finding his way in league footy. And I think the Crows at home, the thing I've noticed about them in the last 2 or 3 weeks, they're a lot tougher.
Yeah,
they've really worked hard on their defence, their tackling, and it's helped their scoring. So
I was up watching Royal Ascot races last night, so I'm not across.
Not surprising.
So I'm not across. Where's Rankin at in terms of coming back? Because
I think he's likely in this way, and Taylor Walker. Which the other issue also for Adelaide is that they've played their best footy in the last few weeks with just the 2 tall forwards.
Yeah.
So which one of Fogarty and Walker will miss?
I think, isn't it funny? Potentially Fogarty should have more to give, but the way Walker just melds with that team, I'd be
Walker's going better.
Thilthorpe and Walker would be the 2 I'd have in. Yeah, maybe you could squeeze Fogarty on the bench, but it's a bit risky.
It's lopsided.
Yep.
But they've played, so that's something they've got to work out. The Matthew Nicks in the next few months. I'm tipping the Crows.
Same.
You're going the Crows. Yeah, do you want to make them your?
No.
Or in that case, I'll make the Crows my margin tip as well.
Wow. Okay. Well, hopefully Stephen King and the guys hear that, and that's that drives them to, like the Socceroos, hearing that they can't beat Turkey.
We're online all the time. Just search Age Real Footy on Facebook or Twitter.
Next game, Saturday afternoon, Greater Western Sydney against Carlton, NG Stadium. This is a very difficult game to tip. I'm kind of leaning towards the Giants, only because they're at home, and also because I don't really need to do anything too funky, and I think tipping Carlton would be a funky move. What about you?
Listen to this word. You know what this is?
What's that?
That's a bubble popping. That's the Josh Fraser interim coach moment. Going up in, I don't know what bubbles pop in. What do they go up in? wet, soapy suds. But no, I think the Giants will run them ragged.
Really?
Carlton, I think Carlton have been able to use their grunt and inside midfielders to kind of recalibrate and get back to playing decent footy. But the Giants are just, the tsunami will, I reckon, find Carlton flat-footed. And Pete, I don't know if I should probably get him on the phone. This is the margin game. I think they can win by 42 points, will we?
Wow, so you're really going against the grain there.
Yeah.
Because I think this will be very close. I think the Giants just don't know what to expect from them this year. One moment you're thinking, the injuries are going to get them, and then when they upset Hawthorn in the first week. And then last few weeks you see them against the Lions, see them beat the D's in the Red Centre, and you think, maybe they're back, and they play like last week against the Saints and disappoint. So I'm not too sure what to make of them. They've still got injuries, are still hurting them. But they're a mystery to me, the Giants. But at home, Jesse Hogan's, you'd think he might be a bit better second up. No Wiedering for Carlton, and I reckon there's a bit of a watch on Sam Walsh as well.
So Wiedering not back. Like, we saw how poorly Carlton played without Wiedering against Essendon. Like, that was a massive struggle. That looked like 2 bottom teams almost.
Yeah.
Hogan plays his 100th game for the Giants. I can see written down on this running sheet, 194.
Not going too well though, Jesse,
but they just love him. I can just imagine them, getting some trucks with the big posters, driving around Sydney. Do it for Jesse. Let's do it for Jesse. He could potentially kick, 4 or 5. But with this pace concern that Carlton's got, Lockie Ash is just as likely to take a 15 bounce kick goal of the year scenario. He's going to create havoc off half-back.
I think they're valid concerns. I think they're more valid if Michael Voss was still coaching, but I think Josh Fraser may have found a way through. I expect that to be close. So I'm tipping the Giants.
Yeah, Giants for me,
but a goal. You've got them by
close.
7 goals.
Yeah, sorry, Pete.
Okay, so poor Pete. You were supposed to help him as well. Saturday night footy, Collingwood against Port Adelaide, MCG. Oh, I mean, Port have been unlucky, haven't they? They lost 5 games by, 1 point, 2 by 2 points, and 2 by 3 points. So, I mean, if those games flip their way, then they're right in the conversation for the finals. But they haven't, so we're kind of looking at them as a bottom 5 team against the Pies, who I think they're just a bit average.
Yeah, I know we shouldn't hand out punting tips, and we don't. We're not, and gamble responsibly if we were going to hand out punting tips. This is a game that'll be total points under, I reckon. It's going to be a slog scenario. And I think if Collingwood can't win this, right off the year, don't you? Like, I mean, you're not making top 10.
Yeah, if you can't beat Port Adelaide in Melbourne, you're in trouble.
So I think they will win. I'm also fascinated to see on the running sheet here that Mitch Georgiadis is on 197 goals. It's an interesting stat to throw in. Look, if he can get 3 goals, I'm not even sure they'll be fussed about celebrating that.
He won't even know.
No. I think Collingwood. They're just, they'll be structured up too well. They cannot afford to lose this.
No, I think Collingwood. I think most people would tip Collingwood in that game. I wouldn't advise tipping Port unless you're absolutely confident, but I can't be confident.
There's still a few good players away, aren't they, Collingwood? Like Moore's still, unknown. Like he's come back from America.
Yeah, is he the player he was?
Yeah.
I mean, they've lost Braden Maynard.
Yeah, so he's going to be out for a little while, isn't he, with his shoulder?
Yeah, and they're very reliant on Nick Dacos. I mean, he could come. This is the sort of game he could come out and kick 35 possessions as well and get 3 votes. But they need that type of game if they're to win Collingwood, because I think they're middle of the road this season, as Craig McRae said a couple of weeks back. So Pies for the both of us.
Yes.
Sunday afternoon footy, Richmond against North Melbourne at the MCG. Tom Lynch could be kicking his 500th goal this week. If he plays. No, he's still a little while away, actually, Tom Lynch. So I've been dudded by this stat sheet. Surely North Melbourne win this.
Yeah, I think so. Like, geez, if they don't win it. Like Clarkson will have to answer some pretty tough questions, won't he?
They just have to win this.
Yeah. I think they'll be. They levelled out in Perth, like after disaster against Freo. They got it back on track against West Coast, which is a pretty hard fought win, and no simple task to overcome. So coming back, they'll have too much depth across the ground. Richmond sort of limping. They were okay against Brisbane. Yeah, and did we overlook? Speaking of milestones, did we massively overlook Hipwood's 200th game last week? Like, I think he has.
I don't think anyone expected him to play, did they? It was a last minute thing, was it?
Well, his first game for the year, right? So I think that he'd said, I want to make sure, a bit like Pendlebury, but in a different sort of scenario, I want to play my 200th game, but I want to hold it until Richmond in Hobart.
While the Socceroos are playing.
While the Socceroos are playing, probably.
I'm going to say I did not see a moment of that game, so I'm taking your word for it.
Yeah,
Richmond
he did play 200. He had 8 disposals and 2 goals, but Brisbane are not playing this weekend, so that's completely irrelevant to the whole conversation. Yeah. Other than, if someone like that can kick 2 goals against Richmond, then the North forwards are going to have a field day.
I don't think this will be a big margin. I think North will win, but I think there's a bit of an emphasis. Well, there should be an emphasis on the way they defend after 13 goals in a row against Adelaide and the 19 in a row against Freo. So I reckon they'll be working on that, and the price of working on that will be an ugly win this week rather than a percentage booster. So I'm tipping North.
Yep.
But I think it'd be close-ish without being a game that you'd be too worried about. So North Melbourne, and North for you as well.
Easy.
And final game of the round, well, this is a very important game for not only the makeup of the 10, but also for, more importantly, tipping competitions. St Kilda against the Bulldogs, Marvel Stadium, so they're both Marvel Stadium tenants, 10th against 8th, and it's pretty much a 50-50 game.
Potential match of the round, is it? What do you rate Freo and Geelong or this?
Oh, Freo and Geelong's a much better game, but this in terms of how closely matched, like you couldn't tip either team with all that much confidence, could you?
No, it'd be interesting. Like Ross Lyon, he didn't really bite into them playing during the Socceroos game, did he, the other day? Which, mind you, can I just a shout out, thanks to FIFA for scheduling Australia's game at 5 a.m. on Saturday against the US, so it doesn't clash with any of the Saturday games like Adelaide and Melbourne. I think that was, the AFL must have sent him a memo to ask for that, and then they've come to the party, which was great. I think Western Bulldogs will bounce back. I think most people will pick St Kilda here because on recency bias, is that what you call it?
Yep,
so good win Saints over GWS, but I reckon the Western Bulldogs were so bad that people will forget they were actually been very good for the month before.
Yeah, that was also their third 6-day break in a row.
That's right. Yeah.
And they looked like it. They looked flat.
They were ready to sort of push over the edge, but I reckon Bevo will have hoiked them on his back and in true Edmund Hillary style, scaled Everest and got them back up.
Have you seen that social media clip of Luke Beveridge dancing at the party?
No, is it AI or is it actually real? It wouldn't surprise me. But
I think it's real, but have a look.
Yeah.
Because that's the sort of energy that Beveridge needs his Dogs to play with this week.
Yep.
And I'm tipping the Dogs only because I think their best is better than the Saints, and they've got a good record against the Doggies as well.
That surprises me. I would have thought by tipping the Dogs, I was a chance to make some ground back on other people. But
no,
the leader of the pack
having scanned our tipping spreadsheet just before we came on air, I think most people in our stable have tipped the Dogs.
Just as an integrity tip for people at home, as the leader of the competition, when you scan through the who's picked what, are you tempted to sort of like change something a little bit late just to...
Oh, no, it depends. I mean, if there's a game I'm really unsure of, there might be a bit of a strategic element. Okay, so Dogs for me, Dogs for you as well?
Yes.
Okay, that's all we got time for today. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to Danny for joining us as well. You can see the rest of the experts' tips at theage.com.au/AFL. Make sure to subscribe, rate and review wherever you get your podcasts. If you'd like to get in touch with us, send an email, realfootypod@theage.com.au. This podcast is out every Thursday to help you with your tipping. The next Real Footy podcast will be out on Monday to review all the action from round 15. Until then, may your team win.